Don't let anybody make you feel bad about the standards that you set or the.
Hello, everybody, once again, and welcome back to Capri's Social Network, aka Cap Social Network. So, this here this particular single mother here is saying why, giving her perspective on why single mothers shall raise and lift their dating standards instead of lowering their dating standards. And with that being said, I wanted to continue to roll the clip. After the clip, I'm going to give my very own take on it, on how I feel about this ordeal. So here's the rest of the clips, folks.
Decisions that you make regarding the company that you keep. Don't let anyone make you feel worthless. Don't let anyone make you feel like when you set a boundary or a standard that you're asking for too much. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing, boo. Whether you're a single mom who's never been married or you're a single mom as a product of a divorce, you have the right to ask for what you feel that you deserve, and don't compromise on that. Because people who want you to compromise on that want to take advantage of you. See, I'm a single mom and people try to make us feel low. People try to make us feel like we're the bottom of the barrel, like we have to take scraps because we've birthed a child and literally have created life to progress our society. No, boo. You are the prize.
Okay, how she just mentioned how most people are always expecting for single mothers to be not only the bottom of the barrel, but always willing to take scraps, so to speak. In other words, willing to settle for any kind of man due to them being single mothers that usually may have either had a kid out of wedlock or kids out of wedlock in some cases, or may have been married before only to divorce after having kids from a previous relationship or marriage. So, similar to how she just said, people are always expecting for them to take scraps. Well, how about how a lot of you single mothers always are expecting for a lot of us guys, specifically us guys without kids of our very own, to always take scraps, to take leftovers too, because judging from my perspective, your quote unquote leftovers, due to how you've been ran through. Not only that, but you have already lived your lives for the most part by already having kids by a man from a previous relationship, in some cases men from previous relationships. And how dare this lady say that, even and I'm assuming she's speaking on behalf of even the single mothers that may happen to have kids, for instance, may have um, either 5 or 6 kids by either 5 or 6 different guys. I mean, and if you look at the Kendra G show, it proves my point as well. How every time, it never fails, pretty much every time Kendra G may usually play matchmaker for a lot of women that may already have kids from a previous relationship, only to look for another man to be in a steady or long-term relationship when they always have these delusional and high requirements, high standards, while looking for another man. Wouldn't it make sense to raise your standards prior to having your kids? And you really have no business having kids outside of marriage anyway, because that not only is that fornication, but that's also a sin according to the Bible, judging from a biblical standpoint also. I'm just calling a spade a spade. Anyway, I'm going to roll the rest of the clip, which is not that much more longer. And I want to give us some more insight on how I feel about this whole ordeal.
So corny, but you are. And if someone doesn't want to see your worth or your value, you don't need them in your life. Remember that.
Now, once again, after giving her perspective on why single mothers shall raise their standards, first and foremost, the average man, especially the average man without kids of his very own, doesn't want to settle down when a single mother with kids from previous relationships anyway. And I have personally have always been a guy that's always been turned off by a single mother, by me having not having kids of my very own. That's always been a red flag to me. Even when I would used to meet a woman prior to being with the woman that I'm with now, and they would used to tell me, right as we were to get to talking to each other on the phone and getting to know each other on a much more personal level, that would immediately turn me off. And you women should put yourself in a man's shoes without kids. Imagine you being a woman without kids, your very own, only to have to meet a guy who you may happen to hit it off with and become so much in love with, only to find out that he may have either a kid or in some cases kids. It may be what it may be by the same woman, his kids, or what it may be multiple women. How much of a turnoff that may be to you. I don't care how much some of you may make a big deal out of guys that may have multiple baby mamas, how you like to brag about it, and not to some of your female relatives, some of your girlfriends, from bragging to either your female relatives, your girlfriends, to even posting it on social media and being proud of it, only to realize with the much more older you get, and I'm applying to you young women, you 20-something year olds and 30-something year olds who look at that as a bragging right, only to realize once you mature more in age how dumb that may have been your decision on getting with the man who may have already had kids by either one woman, or multiple women, only for you to not have any prior to meeting him. Anyway, I'm not going to keep on dragging this video out. And I also wanted to talk about how some of you women with kids already, once again, they may have kids already from either a previous relationship or in some instances previous relationships, that like to consider yourself as a quote-unquote package deal for a man who may not have kids of your own. Just imagine how dumb you sound. Once again, hardly no man without kids of his very own wants to take in another man's kids. And not only that, you women, instead of you having such high standards and expectations when kids from previous relationships, how about you start lowering your standards more? I'm just putting in my 2 cents. And not only that, calling a spade, because that's just utterly ridiculous to me, how you wait till you may have been done wrong or wrongfully by the guy you may have had, or guys you may have had your kids by, only to break up with those guys or things to turn sour, and then all of a sudden wanting to raise your standards instead of lowering your standards and looking or selling for a guy that's a provider. Not only that, but could be able to accept you and your kids, even if that guy is not making a whole lot of money. What I mean by that, even if he's not making around, I would say, $80,000 a year or more. Sometimes, ladies, you have to settle for a guy that may not meet every last one of your standards if you want to find true love, and in some cases or instances want to find also that future stepdad that your kids could be able to share a much more closer bond with, and vice versa, who he could be able to share a much more closer bond with. Especially for you women that are looking for a long-term marriage partner. Anyway, I'm not going to keep on dragging this video, but before I end the video, I want you to first and foremost like the video, share it, comment on it, last but not least, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I hope you guys have a very blessed, safe, and prosperous day.